Okay, I think we're live now. Welcome everybody to DevCongress Exchange. This is Christmas edition, and on this edition I think we're doing something very special because we have the guy who used to host Exchange coming on as a guest.
Yeah, that's been a very long time ago.
Okay, so if today is the first time of joining the Exchange is really our way of giving back to the community. Right? Every month, we organize an interview between myself and anybody who is doing something marvelous in the tech ecosystem. It could be within a country or something. Just so happened that most of the interviews that we've done has been with people who are Ghanaians. Yeah. Next year, we'll probably do something. So the basic idea is to talk to people who have a lot of experience in software development and learn from their experiences. You can get to learn something about their workflow, some of the problems that they've solved in the past, some of the challenges that they've had, how the journey started for them. Just so to inspire ourselves. Just learn from a colleague or learning from somebody who is at the point where you aspire to be. It's something that can be very powerful. It's helped me in my career. And I'm of the belief that it's going to help people who are also starting out as software engineers. And to testify to that, just last month we did an interview with Yabuache, who is also a co-founder at DevCongress. And most of the things that he shared, a lot of people could relate. And his experiences in learning how to code and improving his knowledge and all of that, I think that is very, very relatable. And things that you can just learn and quickly start adopting and practicing, and also to level up in whatever you're interested in. Yeah, so this month, December, we're wrapping up the year, and it's amazing to have Saviour. Saviour used to be the one who was in my seat. Yeah, he was the host for Exchange, and he has interviewed me in the past, and today I also get the opportunity to interview him. Saviour is very active in the tech community here in Ghana, although he is currently not on the soil. He's currently in Uganda, doing the Lord's work. Yeah, so it's my belief that today you get to learn things that you didn't know about Saviour. So Saviour, you're welcome to Exchange. This used to be your show. Now it's my show, but nevertheless, you're still welcome to share with us what your experiences and how your journey has been. So, can you give us a bit of an introduction about who Saviour is, what Saviour does? Okay, I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. I think, yeah, as he said, I started the exchange and then later on allowed it to hibernate. And then I'm very happy that you took this on and it's now happening. Very happy. So, who Saviour is, who Kirk is. Over here, so I'm a software developer, as you can see, but I can see the poster on Instagram said soft. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Software without an E, developer. So I've been doing this for quite some time now. So to give you some information about my journey, I started doing software mostly after entering the university. So before going to the university, I know about computers, all right, but I didn't know what software is. So I used to work an IT NGO. We go around to, teach kids how to do Microsoft Word, Excel, and stuff with computers. So, and then I get to learn about, there's something called networking, but never knew what programming is. So that's when I decided to, I love computers already. So I decided to, do computer science. Like before, I just, in the university, I wanted to do, I wasn't very sure. I know I love computers, so I chose computer science, statistics, mathematics, and economics. And my plan was maybe I'll just end up with economics or statistics or something like that. But by the time I got to the university, I learned a lot about computers and programming and got so much interested, and I was hell bent on doing uh, computer science. Uh, Even at some point, when I went to the university, you can't, and the university was not offering computer science as a major, like you have to combine it with something. So I wanted to, but then the year after us, they started doing that. I considered even just going back and starting over so I can do computer science from first year to last year. But then, but for me, I was disappointed in the first computer science class I went to. I read so much before I went to the class, and I asked my lecturer what DDR 3 was, and he didn't know. I was so shocked, and I was like so disappointed. And all the dreams I had of, okay, I'm going to learn this, then I'm going to program, um, I was disappointed. So what I did was I just hop onto the internet, started Googled a lot of how to program, how to do this, and found some resources. And that's when I started learning, started with PHP. So I was doing some PHP, but PHP, Joomla, WordPress, but it wasn't that interesting. So I started learning, okay, how do I build this in myself? So started doing plugins um, for the CMS systems and got some internship positions doing PHP jobs. And I remember one funny way that I used to learn back on campus. There's this guy that had an internet cafe on campus. So what we used to do, we made together with a friend, what we used to do for him is maybe help him with some tasks. I can type very fast. I learned how to type, so task typing. So we help him with some stuff, maybe Google some stuff for him, teach him certain things. And then when he is leaving the cafe, when he's closing for the day, he locks us in the cafe, the internet cafe, and then we stay in the internet cafe. So the next day in the morning when he comes back, then he opens the cafe. We have the internet all to ourselves. So that's how I learned how to do programming. And then I went on to, during the university, was so much interested, did other stuff. Then I enjoyed learning different things. And then I discovered books. And interesting enough, I discovered Lisp. So I started learning Lisp. And the little schema, so I was reading things like the little schema, and it was so much intriguing, like it was new way of thinking. So I just learned a lot, read those books, opened my mind to certain things, especially things I was being taught in the classroom. I could now understand it very well. So like about compilers, went ahead to read other things on my own. And I was so much into entrepreneurship as well. So started a company with a couple of friends on campus. We're doing building websites for people, basically just websites. And after that, started another company to build mobile apps, because at some point also started doing Android. So Android became my thing, and I was into this Google Student Ambassadorship program. So I started doing Android, went to Google conferences and learned a lot about Android. So started doing Android apps. So we came up with this idea of Osiki, which was like celebrity voting system on Android mobile devices. So we entered the MTN Apps Challenge, the first edition of the MTN Apps Challenge. We came third, got some money from MTN, and we decided to pursue that, but it was so hard to get partnerships. So along the line, at some point, we just gave up on it and then went ahead to start some consulting company with a friend, Yao, who I met at some point due to through Google Students, the summer of code. He was doing summer of code, so I was so much interested in, because he was the only one who was doing it. So I was so much interested in meeting him. So I met Yao at that point. We started a consultancy, and we did that for 1 year due to some reasons, which we can talk about later. And then we stopped, and I decided to just get a job finally. And I landed on SafeBoda, which brought me to Uganda. So currently I'm in Uganda, writing software. I hope that's enough. Hello? Hello?
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was mentioned. Yeah, so I was saying that that's a very detailed story and it's a very similar story to mine. Yeah. I think I've told my story a couple of times where I got into programming by I was interested in taking a course at the university, a training course after so the course was scheduled to take off after the semester was over, and it didn't happen. And so I was motivated to actually learn whatever I was going to get taught by myself. And so I had to take the syllabus and went online, downloaded tutorials and stuff like. So it's pretty similar to mine. And it was very interesting that you used to sleep in an internet cafe. So it means you had access to it. That's very interesting. Yeah. So I'd like you to highlight a bit of that part of your journey where you started with doing PHP. What informed that decision? What made you decide to go learn PHP? What did you see, or who told you what that made you decide to use that route?
Okay, so there was this guy who built a website. So he was building websites. So I saw the website. I was so much interested in. So I asked him, how do I do this? So he made it look like it's something so difficult. So I asked him to teach me how to do it, but then he told me what to use. Told me use PHP to build a website, HTML, CSS. So then I decided to just learn PHP. That's how I got into PHP, because I wanted to build that website. That was back then when I was in school. I was part of it was in church, so it was a website committee chairman. So I learned how to build a website. Eventually took over the website, became the website committee chairman. So that's how I got into PHP at that time.
I see. So did you mention the university you attended?
No, University of Ghana.
University of Ghana. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I guess you see, today's the first time you're having a conversation like this, and talking to you, it makes me feel like we had a very similar story, because at the university too, I was in Pensa. So Pensa is Pentecost students were association, so it's a denomination on campus for Pentecost students. For those who don't know. Yeah, and I was appointed as the chairman of the computer committee, and that did a whole lot for me, because I had to learn a lot about know how to even design slides, design citation, design posters, and all of that. So I had to do a bit of Corel Draw, do a bit of Photoshop, and also do a bit of website development. So that took me to the land of doing PHP. Prior to that, I had done PHP, but it made me do a lot of WordPress development. Yeah, I did a lot of WordPress, and I did that for 2 years. Yeah, and in that whole process, I also had to lead other people, teach other people how to do the certain things, like website development and all that, because that came free. Yeah. So I can really see the similarities in our genes. It's very interesting. Okay. So you did mention that you took a crack at entrepreneurship, and you said that without mentioning the fact that you actually were at Nest. Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about your journey at Nest and what that did for you and what you got out of that whole trip?
Oh, okay. So I wasn't at Mess, but I was mostly at Mess premises.
Oh, you see, you see, you see. Oh, this is what I was thinking about.
So I used to go to Mess a lot. So just happened to have a lot of friends who were in
Uh,
Mess. So then I used to go to Mess. So yeah. But apart from that, I mean, entrepreneurship. I mean, it's I'm more of trying to. It stemmed from the. I told you I did work with an NGO. So the guy I worked with after that's after senior high school. Senior high school, which was that time secondary school. I went to a secondary school. I didn't go to a senior high school. So at that point, so the guy he understand this website, even though he was a networking guy. He's a German, and then he had understand this network. He used to told me a lot about computers, and then he advised that we start something because now I can program, design websites. We start business designing websites for people. So that's how I got into entrepreneurship at that time, building websites. Got my first client through him. Now I remember we used lots of Flash
yeah,
to yeah, this is to build our websites for restaurants. We had a lunch. We launched the website. It was a big party. That was my first job, and it was very interesting. And then that's after that, I just kept going on, and then the MTN Apps Challenge, going through that process, doing all that, entering how we entered the competition, and also learned a lot through the Google Ambassadorship Program on how to lead. So I was leading the team at that point and got a lot of resources and training through Google, the Ambassadorship Program. Uh, and since and then I've just did some independent consulting for some companies before starting another company with Yao. Um, and we decided to just that was very interesting. That was the most technical startups, and we had one client after turning down a lot of clients because and that clients we ended up not even the projects didn't even finish due to some reasons, and which was just too much for us, and then we just decided to because at that time we are like, okay, we are starting a startup and we are going to help startups build their technology, and we are going to use Elysia. And yes, we are going to use Elysia and Phoenix to build our tools, and we are bent on that. That's what we are going to do. So the only client we got, we spent like about, I don't know, 2 weeks convincing him why we shouldn't use Java to build his projects. And we managed to do that. And we got the contract. It was a good contract, actually, anyway. But just the clients have so many expectations, you know, then it was just too much. So For me, like I got my first full-time employment about 2 years ago. So SafeBoda is the first company now I'm working for on a full-time basis. I've never worked for any company uh, before then.
Okay, cool. So in your career, so at this point, I would want to find out what are some of the things that you categorize as challenges and or things that you categorize as were really problems for you or your low moments, and what other things will you categorize as your high moments?
Okay, my I think my low moments will be our last client, my last contract job or the job I got at my last startup before ending it there. It was a project we were so much committed to. We spent 2 months indoors just trying to build a solution day and night. We're so much committed to it and actually burned out. Like, so I felt sick after the project because the project didn't go on well. We entered some legal battle with our clients, and it was just so much stress and just was a lot going on at that point. And I felt so sick. I burnt out, and that was the lowest moment. And then that's when I decided at this point, I think I'll just take a break from entrepreneurship and then get a full-time job. That was so far in my career. I'll say that's like my lowest moment. So my highest moment, can I see? I think will be when I moved. It will be when I started working for SafeBoda. Like I get to work on system. Like the first time we got, so I came at a point where I came at a point where they had an app, but which didn't really work. So, and then when I came on Saturday, but the day I think on Friday, they had an engineer, they had someone on contract he was an engineer at Lyft. So, and then he came and joined SafeBoda. So when he met me on Monday morning, when we met at the workplace, he was like, okay, you know what, we should rebuild. The two of us decided, okay, we are going to rebuild this project in 2 weeks. So we are going to build 2 mobile apps and a backend for our system. And so we were so much committed to it and gave ourselves deadlines. The second week, we managed to automate the ride sharing, the process, and that made me. That was one of the high points of my career, like to just come in and within 2 weeks make such an impact, and everyone was so happy about it. And since then, it's been a very interesting journey. Working on seeing systems scale, like having hockey stick growth, and having to have systems that you have to scale, and people's life depending on it, and it's a big deal. Uh, so that was my high moment in my software career.
So at this point, you feel like your work makes a lot of impact, and that makes you fulfilled and happy about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
a
So
lot of impact.
what I would like to find out is what exactly do you do at SafeBoda, and how is your typical day like?
Okay, so to give you some, so currently I'm the CTO of SafeBoda, so I get to manage a lot of people currently. Might
Let's take a pause and celebrate you. Let's take a pause and celebrate you. Okay,
so my day to day, how SafeBoda, we have what we do is we are a mobility company, like ride sharing company, and we do it with bikes, which is called Boda. So the SafeBoda is just a play on words. So safe and Boda, we're trying to make them safe. People don't wear helmets, and just trying to make them wear helmets. And before then, it was just manual. They have a call center where you call in, and then someone will call one of the riders, and you pay with them, and nothing is tracked. So, but now it's an automated process. You take an app. So we have 2 Android apps, one iOS app, and a backend which was built in the beginning from PHP. So when we joined, the developers and the team, everyone could write PHP. So we decided, okay, we are going to build everything in PHP. And for the last 2 years, I've written a lot of PHP. So it was so it was in PHP. We started with PHP and MongoDB. Interesting. But immediately we got a market. We had a product market fit. I started migration plans of moving away from MongoDB. So and that was, it was a lot of work. You had to write ETL pipelines, but during that time, I made a conscious decision. When I joined the company, there are some points we are going to use Elysia. So, and then I had a very interesting, when I got into the company, one thing about me is, I read a lot of technical stuff, so I get to speak a lot or say certain things because I read about them, not because I know them so much. So people feel like, oh, okay, Kirk knows this. So I convinced the team, okay, we are going to do Elysia. So we started building the internal systems in Elysia. So started looking for Elysia developers. So, and then we eventually migrated the system from MongoDB to Postgres, but we still do some work in MongoDB. And currently, what I do most on day-to-day basis, we've grown so huge and we've scaled so much that we are breaking our system into services. So, and everything is in Elysia, using distributed Elysia, and that's where we are in terms of what we are doing. So we are breaking our monolith into services, and we've hired enough. Actually, for the last 2 months, having to expand the team from just about 6 developers to now we are over 20, and we open another working space, developer hub in Barcelona as well. So that's how my day-to-day, trying to convince people that this is the right tool we are using, this is the right stack, this is the right thing we have to do, and who we can hire.
Does it mean that now you shuttle between Uganda and Barcelona and
So the Barcelona just started just 2 months ago. We just opened the Barcelona hub just 2 months ago. So for now, we are just getting them to come to Kampala to understand the business. We actually expanded to Kenya as well. So SafeBoda is in Uganda and Kenya.
Cool.
Yeah, and we have some developers in Kenya as well.
You're a big man.
Oh no.
So tell me, what will you say at this point? What will you say are some of the challenges that you had to deal with in a ride sharing app?
In a ride sharing app?
Yeah.
A lot. The biggest I think I have to do with it's mostly based on location. So having to make sure you get where matching is basically matching problems, like how to match passengers to drivers, how to get location, how to make sure the matching is done right, how to handling demand and supply. Basically, mostly that's one of the challenging things. So in the beginning, we had challenges where, because of concurrency issues, like things like one, you request for a ride and you get matched with 2 drivers, and those were challenges that we had to deal with, and how to advance, how to make your dispatch algorithm, that smart, and make things as dynamic as possible. Those were some of the challenges that we had to handle, and things like places, let's say we use Google services a lot for maps and places, and currently we pay a lot to Google for those services, and those are one of the those are some of the things you can't get around, because you need them and you can't build your own. So far, no one have that enough data as Google. So we are just stuck with those and having to find workarounds for those.
I see. So you're telling me you pay as much as the Ghanaian government is paying to Google to use maps?
No, not as much. We don't have that level of money.
You mean your costing isn't inflated that much? I get you. Right. So before we move on to the demo session, I have a couple of questions here that folks have submitted that I'd like to ask you. So there's a question coming from Yao. Yao wants to know what does it mean to be an admin at DevCongress?
What does it mean to be an admin at DevCongress? Okay, to talk about how I got into even DevCongress in the first place. So I'm someone who is mostly excited about communities, and starting from maybe when I was on campus, used to organize people, trying to see them what it is to be a developer, trying to get people to be excited, because it stresses me out anytime I go to class and your mates, they are not interested, they are doing computer science, but they are not interested in programming, they don't even want to learn about this, they just want to get out of the system. So I started programs even in campus, like something like Genius Lab, trying to teach people and do all that. So when I first saw DevCongress, I was so much excited, and then I decided to just join and see how best I can contribute to DevCongress. And so I used to go to MEST a lot. So we wanted to do programs. We had big plans like Forge, eXchange, so I was playing like a big role in those programs, trying to get those things to run. So what it means for me to be like an admin is getting people excited about the community and making the community a safe place for people as much as possible. And mostly when you find me in there, and one thing I realized, I feel like sometimes people don't want to talk in the community, and then it's just a matter of thinking about what can make people contribute as much as possible. We have a lot of people in DevCongress, but why don't they say something? Like those are some of the things that we have to deal with. So sometimes, if you see me in the community, I try to. Sometimes I talk a lot about some technologies, make fun of things, like see the lighter side of things. But mainly, what it means for me, like as an admin in the DevCongress community, to making the community a safe place for people, and people want to learn, people want to contribute knowledge as well.
Cool stuff. There's another question from David. David wants to know that as a CTO, how do you help younger developers to grow?
Okay, cool. So currently, I give a lot of conference talks over here, and I encourage my developers to do so as much as possible. And even internally, we organize boot camps. Like, let's say the last one we did was Kotlin training sessions, which we organized for 6 weeks for university student, graduate people who just want to learn. We all be in our office, so we have that space to do all that. So we try to train people, and we have plans in the pipeline to reach out. We reach out to the university community to make people understand like what it is to build such a thing as SafeBoda, because like in Uganda we are like the biggest tech company currently.
Cool. A little birdie told me that if you don't know Alexa, you can't be a serious fan. How true is that? Because
If you don't know
I've been told that
Elysia,
you're all about Alexa. Like without Alexa, you don't do it.
so Elysia is awesome. So like I think it's the best thing that ever happened after sliced bread. So for me, I just like experimenting with languages, and I got into functional programming very early because I told you at some point I discovered Lisp, and then I went on to learn Haskell and learn Clojure. And when I saw Elysia, I heard about Erlang, but I never learned Erlang. So then I saw Elysia, and it was mainly Yao Ajaku, not Yao Boachi. So Yao, he was in Erlang at that time. So even he did his Google Sum of Code in the Erlang. So he actually that time before Elysia hit 1.0, so he was also very passionate about Elysia. So that's when I also got into Elysia, and like he felt so it was like this was fun, like this is so good, like everything just came together for me. So since then I got hooked and been talking about Elysia since, and the same way that I got to convince people to do Kotlin as well. So I bet on Kotlin also very early and started writing Android apps in Kotlin. So SafeBoda, our apps were 100% Kotlin even before Google started supporting it, before people started jumping on it. We were writing Kotlin.
So what really makes you an early adopter? Because from what you just said about Kotlin, it tells me that you are what we call an early adopter. What drives or what makes you want to be an early adopter?
Partly because I don't just mostly I work on people's projects or do some contract jobs, let's say in between to get some, money to survive, and then the rest is just me trying to learn a lot, experiment, learn new things, and sometimes some of them it's like a better tool. Let's say Kotlin I've been writing Android apps in Java, and Kotlin seems like, wow, this is way better than Java. So I just jump on it. I won't say I'm necessarily like an early adopter. Like if I'm doing something like which language? Like there's a language called ETA, which is totally new thing, not built on. I mean, they are building it on top of it, but it's new. But Kotlin is not really like it's built on something which is solid. So it's a platform which is solid. Elysia built on a platform which is like solid. So if anything goes wrong, you can fall back to Erlang. You still get everything. So those were some of the considerations. Okay, this is a good thing, and possibly also I also look around like what people are saying about it. But apart from that, I like experimenting with, let's say, new languages and new things.
Cool stuff. So as a CTO, I would suspect or I'd assume that you part of your responsibility is to interview engineers or developers, right?
Yeah.
What would you say are the things that you look out for when you are interviewing an engineer? Whether so you can decide to split it into two, because I suspect the things you'll be looking out for when you are interviewing a junior software developer or a mid-level software developer would be different from what you'd be expecting from a senior software developer. So can you
Yeah.
break it down for us?
So mostly it's about, the skills. It's obvious and not necessarily like the language you write or the programming language you use, but how you structure your solutions. And let's say if we have to give you a test case to do, like how you went about it, how you structured it, your thought process, and then also I also look at the other skills you have apart from, especially the team. So our team is very good team that we have over here. Like everyone just willing to learn, like just that team spirit. Like some people can be good technically, but working with a team, like they tend to not gel well. So I look out for those things, and I've worked with people who have very strong opinions, but then they are technically good as well. So those people are, and we hire people like that. But what we look out for is people someone who won't just join the team, and all of a sudden make the team look like, oh, okay, everything we're building is been, terrible. You've made all the bad decisions. So I look for those skills, and also the development process. If you've worked for a company before, what are the processes? What are the things that you do? But one thing that I do so much that I understand our system, like where we are coming from, like especially the people we hire lots of people from the region, and understand how people working with companies and how companies do things. So I won't be expecting so much of, oh, okay, you're telling me, okay, we do a lot of how do we call it? This is how we do our product management. This is how it is. We have staging environment. We have development environment. This is how we release, like all those fancy things that you read about all the time. If you work for some companies, I know you might be good technically, but they don't have those processes, and sometimes it's not straightforward. And I just look for abilities. Are you a good developer? Yes. Is it something that you'll be able to learn? Totally cool. Like it's something someone learned. We can afford to train you to understand our process. So those are those are not like strong indicators to drop you out of the interview process. And one very important thing is you understand what uh, you are doing. So if I ask you, if you are saying you write a code or you are trying to explain a concept and you don't even understand where it is there, sort of like I feel it's sometimes hard, you know. So we look for people who understand what they are doing as well, and also you are not just trying to do software or write software because you feel, oh, okay, I can make. Uh, that's just uh, what I have. You have at least you have a bit of passion.
Cool. So you look out for passion, you look out for willingness to learn, and you look out for how the person will fare in a team setting. Okay, cool. I have a question from Yao. He's asking, why is Alexa a better programming language or environment for what you do at SafeBoda?
Okay, so hold on. So if people are wondering why I'm two on the call. So my computer decided not to show my video. So I'm using the video and then I'll use my computer to show that stuff. So what we do over here at SafeBoda, we are trying to build systems that scale a lot, and then it's very much systems that we are building distributed systems. Like we are building things have to be that are very things. We need concurrency. We need things to run fast. example, like if you are requesting for a ride, you want that to happen as fast as possible, and the scale at which we are operating currently, let's say we have currently we have 200,000 plus active customers. It's not like a very huge number, and we do a quite number of rides, like millions in a week. So to be able to, and we have over 8,000 drivers on our platform, and every 5 seconds, all these guys are sending their location to our system, and we need a way to handle all that supply and demand as well. Customers, let's say, at peak hours, everyone open their phone, they want to get a ride. Like, you have to find a way of making sure your system can handle that workload and be able to do matching, like distribute the workload, and you must be flexible enough to scale your system as fast as you can. We started, our MVP was launched on Heroku, but to tell you the truth, we mass out Heroku. Like, Heroku has auto scaling options. We selected, we had the highest dyno, and at peak hours, we hit where Heroku will tell you, you run out of dynos. There's no more dynos. You hit the auto scaling limits. Like, that's, even though currently we moved to Heroku Enterprise, but still, like, so, we could have done more with less if we were using, let's say, Elysia over PHP, which we use currently, because to make it scale, we had to do a lot of work, which would have been so easy, not so easy, but easier to do with an Elysia and save us more costs as much as possible.
So is your infrastructure currently on, is Heroku still your infrastructure, or you've moved to something like AWS currently?
Oh, so our monolith, or the first our PHP is still on Heroku, but part of our system, let's say our databases, is on AWS. MongoDB is managed by MLab. Our services we are building, let's say we are building with Docker, Kubernetes, and stuff. They are on Google Cloud. So gradually we are going to move everything to Google Cloud eventually.
All right. David wants to know, how do you deal with the work-life balance? There's always an infinite backlog, and it's easy to enter the work-sleep repeat cycle.
So we get to set. That's one good thing we have over here is very good product manager who we always try to set expectations. Let's say that, okay, this is what can be done. This is, you won't find people sleeping in the office or trying to do crazy things, unless, and in rare cases, let's say when we're doing database migrations, which we had a very short window to actually switch over our database, which we had to stay in the office to do a lot of work to look for that window to do it. But apart from that, everyone is allowed to, we set expectations, and we are not going to, the work is not supposed to enter your life. Like, you have your life, you have your job. The work can wait. So I believe in that work can always wait. And we just have to make sure we do the right things at the right time. Hire more engineers. You don't want to use a few engineers. You have to do crazy amounts of work. So, so I get to, educate people who don't understand, let's say, how software developments work, especially in the company. So maybe getting them to read some books. So work-life balance, we don't go crazy. Like, it's not like your typical startup life where people are sleeping under the desk and hitting their head on the table just to get things to work. And you can go home, have fun, weekend, go out. One thing you should know is, we call, like, Uganda, the party center of Africa. Like they party a lot. There's people party from Monday to Sunday. Like you can wake up in the morning, you are going to work, people are coming from the bar, the club, like that's how crazy it is. So people will not sacrifice their party for anything.
Very interesting. You're part of these people, right? You're not excluding yourself.
As you can see, I'm here doing the
Today is an exception. You're making an exception for DevCongress. Yeah. There's another question from you. He wants to find out web versus native for SafeBoda. Considering that the web, he has a question. He's saying web versus native for SafeBoda, and he continues that. Considering that the web is the most popular platform in Africa, so I think he's basically trying to find out whether you're actually considering a web version for SafeBoda, considering that a web is the most popular platform of platform in Africa.
Yes. So that's in part of, especially next year, we are planning to do a lot in terms of the services we offer. And so we'll eventually move a lot of things to the web. But apart from, for now, it's mainly through the app. And especially what we do is, you can, let's say you can give, to be so hard, to just give a web browser, something on the web to the drivers to handle the ride management and all those, like sending location. It's more work than just doing it on mobile. So for now, we are mainly focused on mobile, but web is part of our plans when we open up and do other services.
Okay, cool. Turns out that's all the questions we have currently. So can we zoom in into your demo?
Okay. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously, yes, I'm going to do Elysia. So let me see if I'll make this big. Is that good enough?
Yeah, I think this is so.
Yeah. So for those who do Ruby, this will look very similar to Ruby. I've not done Ruby in my. I'm not a Ruby developer. I heard Elysia is like the syntax is like Ruby syntax. So this is a basic program. What this program does is it's a calculator, but let me call it a concurrent calculator, distributed calculator. I don't even know how to call it. But what it does is, so one interesting thing about Elysia is which you can see about Go, you can see about Erlang and other program like that support this. You can spawn a process which is very lightweight. We have a process which is very lightweight. You can spawn it as much as you can, millions, to do work for you. So what this calculator does is when you start it, it's going to spawn. It's going to spawn a process that is going to start this loop. So you can see over here, we have a loop. This is a concurrent code. So this block, you can see receive. What receive is doing is waiting for anything that will come to this function. So Elysia, we send messages, so there are processes. To communicate with a process, you send a message. And you when you send a message, you say every process has a mailbox. So you can consider it as a typical mailbox. So every process has a mailbox. If there's something you need to send a message to that process, it's dropped into their mailbox, and then all your code is in that mailbox to handle whatever you send to the mailbox. So it's within this receive block, receive block is, as you can see, you are receiving something. So it comes in, and if you look at this, we are pattern matching. Elisa used a lot of pattern matching, so you mark on a pattern. So the message you are sending to the mailbox will have this, we call it an atom. So you see the column and the value. So when you receive something with value, and the caller is whoever is sending the message. So when you send a message to a process, the process needs a way to communicate back to you. So two people, it's like when you write a letter to someone, you need, for the person to reply to you, the person needs your address. So you write the address of the person, and then sometimes your address at the back, or however you post a letter, so that person can reply to you. It's the same concept that you can see over here. So we are sending a message to this process, and then so you can see the caller is whoever is sending the message, so that we can, when we want to reply, we can okay, send a message to a process. So just a function that send a message to a process. You can see we are sending a message to the caller. With this, we are using response value, because in Elisa mostly we use this tuple, like, which the first part is to identify the type of message, and then the second part mostly to identify the contents of the message. So this thing gives value, add, subtract, multiply, divide, and then does certain things. And you can see over here, we are calling the function itself again. So what we are doing is to keep this alive. We want to keep this alive so it can keep processing messages. So when messages come in, it will show this is a telco. I mean, it's telco optimized, because the function at the end of the day is calling itself. So we are not going to have any issues. The compiler will handle this very well. It's well optimized for this. These things you see over here, these are interface. We call it, these are the functions. So you can see add, subtract, multiply, divide. So these are just interface functions. So let's actually look at how we can call this.
Maybe I can't see your screen anymore.
Yes, trying to make sure I bring out the terminal so you can see where. Okay, can you see?
Yeah.
You can see. Okay, let me make it big.
Yeah, I can see that.
So this is big enough. So Olivia exchange. So we can run the code. So we have Elisa as a rep.
You should zoom in a little. It's not readable. Yeah, that is good.
This is better.
Yeah.
This is better.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So Elisa has the repo. So you can evaluate. So I just loaded the module that we saw previously, which is the calculator module. So I just loaded it into the repo, and then we can manipulate it. And as I said, everything is a process, and they all have, every process has an identifier, which is a process identifier, PID. So let's say even the repo itself is a process, it's an user process, which we can see, which was the ID for it. So that's how process IDs look like. You can see, looks like something close to an IP address, if you may say. So this is a local process. This process is local process. So that's why you don't have the first part of it. The first part, if it's something which is external, so you can have a process which is like on a different machine. If we call that process, the process mostly will have like the machine's identifier and then the ID over there. But this one is local, so it starts with 0. So let's call our calculator module. So you can see, so when we start the calculator, it's going to start a process. So that's the ID. So now we have our calculator over the calculator identified by this process. So calculator, we can do a lot of things with this calculator. We can add, we can see the value of it, like which value. It's a stateful calculator. It keeps always keeps the last value of the calculator. So if you want to see the value, we pass it. So this is a functional language. Maybe I think probably maybe if this were to be, I don't know, like if this is supposed to be OOP language, like you won't, you might be doing PID dot something like value to get the value of the calculator, but you always have to. We are always going to pass our process around to get the value in that process. So we have a process with this ID. You can see the ID is 0.90, which is currently in the terminal. We can add a value to this calculator, the PID and a value of, let's say, 30. So now we have 30. Let's see if this was the value. So the value is now 30. We can subtract. Okay, so we don't have. So you subtract PID. So you subtract it. You give it the process identifier and then the value you want to subtract. So what is happening here? We're in a different process and we've spawned another process and now we are communicating with it because we have the ID. So you can see the terminal. So when we are sending, we send a message to that process. So we have the address, which is a process ID. We send a message to it. It does some computation, and because it knows it has our ID as well, it's going to respond to us that, oh, okay, the calculator module is within that. We call it, it gives a value back. We call it, it can give us a value back. And this can be extended to do a whole lot of things. So imagine you have nodes in different, like you have two different computers. If, for instance, if I were to have two different computers on the same network, I can connect to them and then do interesting stuff. I can connect and they can communicate with each other without doing any, I don't have to do any work. It's all inbuilt into the language. But one interesting thing about Elysia, like as we are passing the PID around, it might be this might be like a lot of work. We can actually register, there's something called, so we can register the process. We can register it so by a name, so we don't have to passing the process ID to the function, to the module whenever we are calling it. So there's an inbuilt module that you can use to register your processes in Elysia. So it's called, so we can do process the register. And as I'm talking about registering a process, there's also process registry, which gives, like, let's say, you can have a list of, you can put your processes in registry, like it's kind of like I would like trying to look for something in real life that I can. So where do we keep, like let's say like a address book, actually. Like the registry is like registry, like how you know registry to be. So let's do process the register. So we have a process, and then we want to register it.
A registry too could be a place where you go and register your marriage. You know?
Yes. So if someone wants to like look for fathers, look for marriage, something like that, they can find it. They have a registry. Their process, yeah, it's just a registry. So when you're registering a process, and then you give it the process that you want to register, and you give it a name. Let's say the. So now we have a process. We've registered a process called dev. So mostly we identify them by an atom. Like, so atoms we use it mostly to identify. I don't want to go into too much details about.
So
atoms.
So in Ruby,
so now,
that is a symbol. Is that
yes.
Ruby?
I've seen that. Yes, that in Ruby they call it symbol. It's in Erlang. Erlang use that as well. So yes, so, and it's very important in that word. So now that we've so when you've registered a process, we can use it to do other things. So what we can actually do, interesting things. So we can actually kill that process, or do a lot of things to that process, or maybe you want to check if it's registered. We can send a message to it. We can monitor it. We can get information about that process, and then we can just let's say we want to see, we have a process of ID dev, but now we want to see ID dev. It's for what? Like it's linked to where is it? So that's the PID of that process. So now we have. So as you can see, this dev now is now linked to that process, and we can use it to do very interesting stuff. So I think, do you have any? I think that's like one very interesting. But then what I'll stress is, I mean, Elysia is not just, if you don't need this, it doesn't mean you don't need Elysia. Elysia can do all the things your language can do, your PHP can do, your Ruby can do. Elysia can do all that, but just has this added advantage of you can use it to build fault-tolerant and distributed systems without any stress. Like you don't have to go through a lot of stuff to just build those kind of systems. That's what Elysia gives you out of the box. So that's just what I want to stress on. So as you can see, I don't know whether you can see my browser.
No, your brother is not showing.
It's only my terminal that's showing.
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
No.
Oh, okay. Maybe. Okay. So I've stopped sharing now.
Yeah, stop sharing.
Yeah, stop sharing. So let me reshare the browser with you. So actually, let me know. So if you want to like learn more about Elysia, I mean, you can just go to Elysia School. So there's a website which will teach you mostly the basics of Elysia, which is called Elysia School, which you learn the basics of Elysia, what it can do for you, the wonderful things you can do with it. So basically that's it about the Elysia programming language and the things you can do for it. I mean, we just did something basic just to show you how processes work, and we can do a lot of wonderful things with this. We have RPC mechanisms built into the language. We have generic servers, which you can use to do just abstract. Like when I showed the code of the calculator, you can see we are doing like lots of receive, do, block, and that's so that's very repetitive. So there are abstractions built on top of that, and you don't have to write that code. You just use a module, and then you can be able to have access to a lot of powerful things in the language. So that's the little code decided to share. Maybe I should have shared how to do 1 + 1 in Elysia, so people know you can do that.
Yeah, it is cool. It's cool. Yeah. So what would you say? How long have you been doing Alexa?
How long have I been doing Elysia? So I think actively for a little over 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so, in your experience, what would you say are some of the common use cases for the language?
Okay, so Erlang itself. Let me start from Erlang, which we have Erlang and then the Erlang virtual machine. So just like how we have the Java virtual machine, we also have the Erlang virtual machine called the PIN, which the Erlang language was built on. It was built by Ericsson. So Ericsson was using the language to build telecom switches at that time, and they had some goals in mind to build a system that will run concurrently, and also to be able to systems that can run in production for a very long time without stopping. So the language itself has a way of you deploying code without stopping the running program. So let's say if telecom switches, you don't want to be making a call, and then when there's a system update, your call will drop. So we have a system which have been running in production, they say for 9 nines, so 99.99999, like, and then it's those kind of spaces. So, but as then to take advantage of multi-core systems. So our systems, our things are we are advancing, processors are getting smarter. We have multi-core processors, but the language you write should be able to take advantage of all the cores you have in your machine, which most programming languages don't do. But so if you have a program that you deploy today, tomorrow, if you have a very powerful machine to run it, it should run faster. You don't have to do any work for it to run faster. It should go to scale. And then also things like if you have, let's say you have a website or you have a web application, and how your request. So we have a finished framework, and due to how the language is designed, every request is a process on its own. So if a request coming is handled by a process. So if some bad requests enter your system, it doesn't have to block. It's non-blocking. It doesn't block the rest of your system. Should work very fine. If something crashes somewhere, it shouldn't crash, bring down the whole service. So if you need those kind of properties, like building systems that can that you can put in different distributes, like on different machines, and then they should be able to communicate with each other, and you don't have to go through so much to do it. I mean, distributed system is hard already. So if you get a language which can give you most of those basic stuff, or most of the stuff done for you out of the box, you should definitely go for that. I mean, things like companies that decide to use, let's say, Erlang to do like WhatsApp using Erlang, Cisco using Erlang, the switches. Those are areas you can use. So everywhere you can use Erlang, you can use Elysia. They are all built on the same virtual machine. You can use it for your websites, and then it's a functional programming language, and that gives you some advantages like having mutable data structures. It means having concurrent systems. You don't have to reason so much about it that there's a state changing and developer productivity and happiness. If you want to be happy and productive, the language will give that to you.
I see. And see that like that Kotlin uses the JVM, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there is something common here. You don't want to use Java. You use Kotlin. The same person, you don't want to use Erlang. You use Alexa.
Well, use Erlang.
You use Java, but you actually use a language that runs in the JVM, and you don't use Erlang, but you use a language that actually runs in the EVM. You know?
Oh no! So Erlang it's just they have the Prolog kind of syntax that they have, but it's a wonderful language. I mean, if you use it, Erlang is small and wonderful language. You can use it to do powerful stuff. Yeah. But then the syntax, I mean, Elysia, add some flair to the whole thing.
Maybe someday I'll give it a try. I've heard you made a lot of noise about it on DevCongress, the Slack group. Yeah.
Yao is there. You should join Yao.
I mean, yeah, he went and he's coming back. I think of late he's been doing Ruby here and there.
Yeah.
And even I think Rust, he's also doing Rust. Like, guys all over the place.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's learning a new thing. That's a good thing about learning multiple languages. You learn concepts, and then you learn. Let's say, when I was learning Elysia, like so many things I learned in Clojure, like I could understand it more. Like let's say recursion, the language that taught me, like lots of recursion is doing Lisp. I feel like if you want to understand recursion, you should learn Lisp. So maybe some dialects of Lisp language. You can even learn. You can even learn eLisp if you want, which is the Lisp for Emacs. And
I see.
So or scheme is also approachable. But then to understand recursion, let's say something like the little schema or the little Lisp. That book, you write lots of recursion. By the time you are done, you understand what recursion is, and it comes so natural to you. You don't have to think so hard to write Fibonacci series.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have any questions from the audience, and all my questions are done. So I'd say thank you so much, Saviour, for accepting to be my guest today. And I think I've learned a lot. I've learned quite a lot, and I've also discovered that you're more alike than I thought.
That's good to know.
It's been a very interesting, session today. Today's edition, it's my Christmas gift to all of you. Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of things. There was a lot of things to learn and unpack. And I think as we are all going on break, maybe it'll be a good thing to make some time and take Alexa for a spin. Just try it out. Yeah, just try it out, and I mean, it could be just playing around it. I think one thing that I like about learning, programming languages, the whole idea of learning about different concepts and switching between different paradigms. Yeah, because when you have an understanding of how or the paradigms of different programming languages, it helps you when you're solving problems. When you're given a problem, you can think about the problem and choose which tool to use to solve the problem. So it's not like we do learn multiple programming languages because that's just what we want to do. It's to make you an effective problem solver. Because if you're a software engineer, what you're doing essentially is solving problems. And being able to use the right tool for the right job, it's a very important skill to have. And if all you know is PHP, it's going to be very difficult for you to solve certain kinds of problems. Because there are certain kinds of problems that PHP is really good at solving, and there are certain problems that PHP is really a bad tool to use to solve a problem. So I thank you all for joining us today. And
Okay, so I think I'll just give it one. So in fact, this is a good time to actually learn. So there's this. We have how do we call it? Advent of code. So which is always from 1st December to 25th December. So this advent of code, Joseph Valim, who is like who started the Elixir programming language. So he has a Twitch channel where he records himself solving the coding challenges. So it's a very interesting thing. So mostly what you can do, people use the advent of code to actually learn new programming languages. So you can use that. It starts from very basic things, like doing basic things. So what you can do is try the challenge and watch his Twitch stream. I'll send the link, and then you can see how he's trying to solve the problems, the advent of code stuff. So, and that's one thing I also discovered these days. Like we have a lot of developers, especially the big ones, who are very good in the community, who are running Twitch channels to just show how they write code. So it's not like the fine stuff, like you think they don't make mistakes, like their thought process, what they go through before trying to solve a problem. And it's a good one actually. So to learn interesting. So I'll send that channel. I'll send you that link. And if you want to learn other language, let's say Haskell, we have this big Haskell guy, Edward Kimmett. So he has a channel where he streams Haskell stuff. So very interesting. So yeah, those are my last words.
Okay, thank you, Saviour. I would look forward to you sending me the link, and I'll update the description on YouTube with those links and resources so that people who want to take Alexa for a spin and learn it during this holiday season can go ahead and do that. And you enter New Year with knowledge of a new programming language, and an appreciation for some functional programming language. I know JavaScript is there and all that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been an amazing year. I've had a good time doing the show, getting into Andela. It's been a very good year for me, and I really hope that it's been a good year for all of you too. And I'm looking forward to seeing you make it to next year and interviewing awesome people next year, people that you can learn from. And what the exercise we're going to be doing next year too would be to solicit for people that you like us to have on the show as guests. Yeah, it could be somebody that you really admire and you want to learn a lot from the person on the show. You want me to ask certain kind of questions on the person to the person on the show, and I really appreciate that. So look forward to that sometime next year. We'll be asking for your feedback, your help to get us on speakers or us some people to have on the show, learn stuff from them, and be amazing together. Yeah. So all of you have a Merry Christmas in advance. I wish you the best of the season. Enjoy your holiday. I will see you all next year. Bye.
Sure. Bye.